Welcome to Monza. This track has a major place. Road Atlanta gave us a real pressure cooker up at the front, but it also brought Hisada his second victory of the season. With the championship as tight as it is, and with no driver managing more than 2 wins so far, it looks like today's race could be decisive. Monza will always be a toss-up with it being the Talladega of road racing. Let's see if it gives us a surprise as we get ready to watch Round 8 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Christian Challoner. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Monza celebrates a century of history this year. Let's head to our track guide to see what it holds in store for the drivers. Welcome to Monza. This track has a major place in racing history, not just for the legendary races, names, and cars that have been here, but because it was the third purpose-built car racing circuit in the world. It's often discussed and reverenced among fans, and especially by Italians who have nicknamed it the Temple of Speed. In fact, the Ferrari fans here are so famous for their devotion that they have been dubbed the Tifosi and never fail to show up in droves. While the real world offers only 3 feasible layouts to race on due to safety, in iRacing, the inclusion of the oval and the lack of safety concerns gives it a stunning 9 versions drivers can choose from. The modern GP layout is of course the most well-known, with its long history of hosting the Italian Grand Prix. But the oval and combined circuits allow those who thirst for more speed to satiate that craving with its insanely high banking. Indeed, incredible velocities are a staple of just about every version you can race here. Draft battles are not uncommon, no matter which car you're racing. But the inclusion of the chicanes makes using an outbraking maneuver a much more tricky way of overtaking. The circuit is notorious for drivers getting tangled up with each other while running side by side in these slow and cumbersome corners. In fact, one of the greatest dangers for drivers is the first few laps when the field is still clumped together and attempting to navigate them 2 and 3 wide. While there are other modern circuits with high-speed straights, the fact that Monza sits inside the Royal Park just north of Milan and is still tightly lined with trees heightens the sense of speed here. All in all, Monza is unmatched in its history, thrills, and great racing. Its significance in motorsports history and culture is sure to be unchallenged for years. Well, Christian, the beauty of sim racing is that today we get to do what I'm sure a lot of drivers in the real world wish they could do, which was take out a few of those chicanes here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of almost a return to the old school track, but not quite. There is a couple of small differences. The second chicane isn't quite as straight line as maybe some drivers would like, and that makes it pretty challenging. It's definitely going to be a real risky move to go too wide through there. But what I do like about this layout is that Curva Grande is actually a proper corner again. You do actually have to do a downshift for it, so should definitely see some passing into what is now truly turn 1 again.
Absolutely, and if we take a look at the championship as well, Timo Vascalampi is now at the top instead of Cortiniemi. Now, some of that is changed around because of the drop weeks being applied, and Topi has missed a few, but I do believe he is here today. As Toga Hisada also jumps up with his win into second, only 8 points behind Vascalampi. Tixier just can't seem to get the luck and the consistency to really make himself a serious challenger, and he hasn't had a win yet this season. And then you've got Trengrade and Cortiniemi a little bit farther down there in the top 5. We also have an F2 championship. Christian, how's that?
Well, Hoye Neva still leads actually by 20 points over Bill Wright. Matthew Maudsley, though, is now tied for second place. He's 20 points back as well. And Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado is he's only 4 points back, with Rolly Wallbank 36 points back in 5th.
And for our Cup of Nations, we've got Finland still leading. Haven't seemed to given up the grasp on that. But Singapore is actually in a very tight fight, both with Germany and the UK. And the United States isn't too far behind as well. So top 5, not all that close, but it's 2nd through 4th that are in a great little battle. What about the race details?
Well, round 8 of 12 today, so 2/3 of the way through the season, 22 laps. So actually quite a short race. Open setup as always in the Lotus 49, no spare car. And last week we actually saw a very, very clean first lap. I'm hoping for that again this week.
And we will get to the racing. Welcome to Monza. This track. Apologies for a little bit of a hiccup there, but before we get to the racing, we want to mention our sponsor, the Majors Garage. Make sure and check them out because they are the home of free Baseline Plus setups. Get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. Sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more at majorsgarage.com. Use our special discount code MajorsGSRC for 10% off. We have a link in the description below to take you right there. And taking a look at the qualifying, we still actually don't have a time on the board, but there are definitely lots of fast faces. In fact, there are lots of faces here today. 45 drivers have signed up for this event. It is going to be a very busy track.
Yeah, absolutely, and we kind of saw it last week for Road Atlanta that traffic was a bit of a factor in the race, so I certainly expect that traffic will be a factor here, but you know, it should actually be a really tightly packed race. Obviously, the draft's going to be very, very strong. It's not quite Monza combined. You don't have the oval part to kind of really get everybody pulled together, but you know, it's still a very, very draft-dependent circuit.
It is indeed, and well, thankfully, they don't have to worry about the draft here today. You can see the temperature is actually pretty ideal out there for them. So a lot less to think about. Hopefully they can focus more on all the craziness happening around them because there is sure to be some, yes, it's not the combined oval, which we often see in this series, but it is still going to be quite frantic as we finally start to get a few times out there. And it looks like Martin Granberg currently has the fastest of those times. No, excuse me, Rafael Dorado, as it finally switches around for me, and it is very tight, 0.02 of a second between first and second place.
And he's just had that taken away from him. Ove Trengerade has taken it by quite a margin, actually, 1.6 tenths there, so it's still a couple of actually a lot of fast drivers out there still to set a time. Mick Claridge, though, quite far off pole this week, actually. 32.3, almost 4 tenths back.
Absolutely. So we're waiting for Mick Claridge to get a better time in. Interesting to see him, unfortunately, not as quick as where we usually do. And Topi Kortaniemi just bumps himself ahead of him as well on his first lap and then parks it. So he's not going to take a second one. Granberg is currently out there as we now watch Togo Hisada try and go quicker as well. Let's see what last week's winner can do as he comes out of the second Lesmo down towards the last remaining chicane. Can't remove that one here on iRacing. There's no pavement to replace that one with, but it is the quickest of the three, so there's that for them. They come out of that last chicane there through Ascari and down towards Parabolica now. This is going to be critical for him to get right. He does still have time to do a second lap. Vascalampi currently our quickest. He has taken the pole position away from Ove Trangerade. Dorado now slotted down to third. So Hisada down into the line. A 32.2, and that is going to put him in sixth position on that first lap. That's not quite what we expected from him. Looks like Ove Trangerade goes slightly faster. Unfortunately, that's not going to be... No, excuse me, that's his first lap. And he's come back out on track, so he must have taken a tow, and that means he is essentially done as we ride around with Sada now on his second time around. Waiting to see who else is looking to complete theirs. Quellen is coming across. A 32.8 for him is going to put him into 11th position. A lot of drivers waiting till very late here, Christian, to get times down.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by that. Obviously, it is quite a short lap, but still, I don't know whether it's mistakes on the outlap or not. And he started coming through a sky again. I noticed that he had a really big hit at this curb that he's just going over there on his first lap. I don't know whether it was too much. Obviously, he's really trying to get over that curb, but just that first lap, it looked like he really kind of got it just a little bit off. That might be why he was a little bit slow on that first one.
That second lap for Nieva finally came around. First one, unfortunately, he missed, had an off track, and so second lap was ultra critical, and that put him into 10th place. Here comes his Sada now as he crosses the line. This is going to be a 32.1, and that will at least jump him up to 5th place, but still a little bit of disappointment, I'm sure, for him. At least the draft will keep him in touch with everything. I see Eugenio Massa coming around, but this is going to be his one and only lap as we just about are done. Well, it's not going to be any laps for Massa because he does not get one to count. That got deleted. Quellen is coming through for his second time. Might be one of our last here. Let's see. 32.8, and that is not quicker for him. He is the last of our drivers able to set a time. Jorge Nieva not able to get around for another lap. Let's go through that starting order for today. Teemu Vaskilampi has put it on pole, and Ove Trangerade starts from second. Rafael Dorado will be in third, followed by Mick Claridge, who was happy with that lap. He said over the radio. From fourth, Togo Hisada, P5 for him, followed by Sebastian Tixier in sixth. And it's Martin Granberg starting from seventh. He's followed by Topi Kortinemi, unusually far down for Topi. They're in P8. Bill Tyler starts from ninth, and Jorge Nieva within the top 10.
Bruce Nelson lines up in 11th with Gary Quellen in 12th. Miro Haskey back there in 13th with John Olsen alongside him in 14th. Robert Plumley and Laust Olsen in 15th and 16th, with Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado 17th and Aitor Sintes Galindo 19th. David Presley and Jean Lehman round out the top 20.
Nolan Smith starts 21st, followed by Emmanuel Pereira. Then it's Gary Ho and Christian Eschner on the next row. Rolly Wallbank starts from P25. You've got Matthew Maudsley in 26 and Joe Halton 27th. Michael Grissinger, P28 for him, followed by Glenn Becker in 29th, and the top 30 rounded out by Colton Conover.
Andreas Bruno lines up in 31st with Andrew Eng alongside him in 32nd. Randy Howe and Don Peake back there in 34th, but we saw him have a good run last week. Kai Hansen in 35th with Gary Anderson 36th. Robert Anderson was the last driver to set a qualifying time. He's in 37th with Ben Summers, Jack David Spickett, and Eugenio Massa rounding out the top 40.
Tony Schmidt, Robert Reynolds, Seno Tsuyoshi, Robert Honeycutt, and Uldrich Frauenberg round out your 45-car field. In fact, both last week and this week, as far as Don Peake goes, he's been sporting Bengals colors, apparently, and supported them heading to the Super Bowl. First time in 30-plus years, I believe, that has happened. As we now have the lights up and the drivers rev their engines as the green flag is out, and it is a pretty good start for Vaskilampi. Trangerade starts to struggle in the second phase, and in the background, thankfully, it looks like we've managed to get everybody off the line. Oh, somebody coming out of the pit area. Not sure if they actually came from the pits or if that was a problem. Into Curva Grande for the first time, and down towards the scary Della Rosa in its fast form.
Yeah, everybody's got to try and get single file through here. It's not really possible too wide, especially on the first lap.
Down into the Lesmos, where finally the lap slows down a little bit. So far, I've not seen any major incidents, and I spoke too soon. We got a couple cars out. Looks like Salgado is off to the side, and at least 4 cars off into the kitty litter. check it out in a little bit. But that was in the mid-track, and holy cow, Vascalampi, and I'm not sure who else that is, Jorge Nieva, who have absolutely flown through the air. That was a massive wreck. He's caused another one with Andre Bruno. A few drivers having to take huge escapes, and now they're tiptoeing through what has been a messy, messy beginning.
Yeah, they absolutely kind of started off right at the start with one driver getting turned around, but it just got worse as the lap went on. I'm really not sure what happened here. It looked like someone was kind of thrown into the bridge.
Someone must have made wheel-to-wheel contact. So this is Jana Lehmann that we're looking at right now. And then behind him, it looks like that was the incident with Salgado that we just saw a flash of. So here's the Finn coming around the second Lesmo. This is where it's going to start, somewhere around here. Let's see if we can see it. Should be just coming up. Someone makes wheel-to-wheel contact. All he can see is a puff of smoke. And there's the car in the air. That's never a good sign. Starts to take evasive action. But man, what can you do in this situation?
I mean, I think absolutely nothing. You're just totally not expecting something like that to happen.
Looks like the 5 involved. That's John Olsen that he just made contact with, sending Lehman off to the side and then getting turned around. Now he's one of those that is blocking the track, and it's one of the worst we've seen in some time, unfortunately. Usually it's in places such as the Curva Grande that you see problems like that, but not so today. It was in the tight confines right here under the bridge. Thankfully, most everybody's been able to tow, but that has taken out a huge chunk of the field. In the meantime, at the very top, Mick Claridge is actually our leader currently, with Rafael Dorado in second place of a Trangrade P3, and Posada has climbed up to fourth, and in fact, I think he's going to try and catch up to this battle for the lead, which is erupting with Trangrade to the inside. He gets 1, but he does not get 2.
Yeah, Dorado trying to hold on the outside here, and he's actually going to be able to do that. But we've got Hisada. He's looking for a move. He might be able to try and pass both of them here.
He's going to back out of it as they all go single file behind Hisada. Martin Granberg also watching. He's recently made it home out of the Lotus 49s. Usually we see him in the 79s on Sundays, but he has made quite an adapt over here to these lower downforce machines. Out of the Lesmo once again.
Lower downforce machines? More like no downforce machines.
Yeah, pretty much. But regardless, point being, I mean, he has definitely shown that he can handle either end of the spectrum as they all accordion together, and the slipstream is really keeping a tight train essentially down to Bill Tyler in 8th position.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is kind of one of those races where you know that it's going to keep everybody packed up. So I think that might have contributed a little bit to maybe some of the aggression that we saw on the first lap. Everybody knowing that as long as you're in the lead pack, you've pretty much got a chance to win the race. And I'm really still not quite sure what happened, but somehow Vascalampi, who started from pole, was involved in that. He might have been the car that we saw actually hitting the bridge.
Yep, he's even apologized on the text chat, says, sorry, I drifted too much to the right. So another go at things from Ove Trangrade, but bravery from Dorado, who holds it around the outside. That checks up Trangrade, and now Hisada spies an opportunity, gets to the inside, down into De La Roja, and he is through. That's 3rd place for the Japanese driver.
Yeah, it looks like Curva Grande is actually probably one of the best passing spots. If it's not so much on the entry, you can always get a good run on the exit, and then it's a bit of a bravery test, I would say, into that second chicane.
Well, this might be the top group. Checking to see where our next one begins. We've got Robert Plumley in no man's land down in 14th, or no, excuse me, in 9th place. And looks like after that, we finally get a 2-car train of Herrera and Halton, maybe pulling along Ho. But otherwise, wow, it's very spread out farther behind. They were riding on board with the day glow suit of Plumley and showing just how much distance. You can hardly see the cars ahead of him right now.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a brutal race, I think, for Plumley. Obviously, out here on his own. I mean, he's in a good spot. He's inside the top 10, but it doesn't look like it's going to be too exciting for him. In terms of other packs, it looks like the next one that we've got really built up is behind Michael Grissinger in 13th. Looks like there might be a 4 to 5 car battle there as we got 3 wide on the front stretch.
Yeah, and I noticed that Hisada was getting involved in that one again, but it's also Ove Trangrade, who seems to be the man with guts today, as he made it 3 wide, and he gets himself back into second place. But Hisada is certainly not just vying for position, but the gutsiest driver out there, I suppose, as he's been fighting hard with the Norwegian. He'll slot down into third. Dorado probably watching this a little bit befuddled why everybody's so aggressive today. He falls back into fourth.
Yeah, it's good to see that Dorado's back. He's been missing from the series for a while in terms of actual race starts, and I know he was really, really big into it a couple of years ago, so I'm actually really glad to see that he's back.
Same. He is a face that has been missed out here today, and up ahead of them, I'm noticing that Claridge has pulled a tiny bit of a gap. I don't think that's going to last forever, mind you, because he certainly has not broken the slipstream. But these guys better watch out. Mick is very savvy and experienced in this series, as they're going to put a lap on Tsuyoshi there, who just stays off to the left-hand side. They got to watch out, because Mick is very, very clever, and he knows how to play this game.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you come to tracks like this, because everybody kind of goes in with the impression that it's a bit of a draft pack, and that, you know, it's kind of a random deal. But it's very much like super speedways, where there's realistically always things that you can do to, you know, be in the right position at the right time. And obviously, you're gonna find it difficult to put one over on Mick. He's been around in this series for a while.
He gets caught up by Trangrade. Wasn't close enough to try and make a pass that time through. And don't think he's going to be able to do anything here. It is deep braking here into the first Lesmo, and as close as he gets, that is so scary to try and make a pass into there after that chicane. A little bit of a mistake from Tixier, and Granberg spies an opportunity to try and get by him. They've also got Cortiniemi in there.
Yeah, and this really is just a positioning deal. You do want to be kind of in the top 3 to 4, I think, before the start of the last lap. But I think if you're inside the top 4, you've still got a chance of winning the race. But obviously the guys towards the back end of the line, I'm not certain that anybody's really just going to be trying to ride this out. I do think they're going to be trying to gain positions so that they've got that chance on that last lap.
It certainly looks like they're hungry for it. They got more lap traffic in front. While we've got this, I think we have Teemu Vaskilampi joining us here. Let's see if we can talk to him after his premature exit from this race. Teemu, commiserations. It looked like a little bit of a mess out there, and it sounds like you put your hands up a little bit.
Yeah, I failed at Lesmo too. Just not calm enough. I had no reason to push, and my set is very sketchy lap 1, and I lost rear there. When corrected it went off track, and when I returned on track, I tried to get back on throttle, but I kept drifting to right, and I hit someone. Totally my fault.
Well, I do appreciate, I guess, the honesty in that one, but that caused a pretty massive wreck. Were you a little worried about something like that unfolding here with 45 drivers out there today, or did you not expect something like that to happen?
Yeah, I was worried, but of course I was in front, so I wasn't that worried. I really should not have pushed there. There was no point for that. I don't know, just a bit too nervous. I had high hopes for this week. I had very good pace here, and even that qualify lap wasn't very good. It was still pole. So just too much pushing when it was not needed. Yeah, there was the.
That's understandable. We're seeing the replay here on our screen now. Well, unfortunately, I'm guessing this might lose you the championship lead. Do you think you're still in the hunt, though, for the points?
I don't know. I have no drop weeks left, so it's going to be very difficult.
Well, we'll look
But
out for it.
I'll do my best. We will see what it's enough.
That's the best you can do, I suppose, is just put everything into it and see where it comes out. Again, commiserations, and I can hear the disappointment in your voice. So I guess prepare for next week, and we'll see you when we come back.
Yeah, I was expecting a very good race. It's very fun track to race. So most disappointed about that. I missed a good race now.
That's Teemu Vaskilampi, who unfortunately DNFs today. Not much change out at the front as we come back live. McClarridge, Ove Trangrade, Togo Hisada, your top three. Dorado still in fourth. Tixier running in P5, starting to threaten a little bit. You mentioned wanting to be within those top three. Wonder if we'll see Seb maybe start to make some moves. Again, still looking for that elusive first victory.
Yeah, and it has strung out a little bit. You see him go a little bit wide there, actually, but everybody is still very much packed together.
And they've been dealing with a lot of lap cars. There have been a number of drivers who've been coming back out, trying to salvage what they can, because there's still points on the line today. And we've had some that have definitely climbed up the order. I see, well, actually, no, I say that. I thought I was going to say Cash Hansen. He's in 21st, but he's in 21st in pit lane. That's how much attrition we've had. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, I think we lost something like 13 cars on the first lap, so obviously a lot of drivers out of the race. One driver who's made really big gains throughout all that is Joe Halton, though. He's up in 10th after starting 27th, but he is under threat right now. He's got Emmanuel Pera right behind him.
And it looks like Emmanuel's going to make a move now. This could be a swapping back and forth between them, though. Yeah, that looked like a lift out of Joe. So he's not going to fight that too hard. And Gary Ho likes that because that pulls him into the slipstream. So that will help him as we hop on board, looking forward. Not sure they had this shade of magenta back in 67, though.
Probably not. I think it was mostly much simpler colors. But, you know, if they did,
more power
you
to them.
definitely recognize them.
Absolutely. Well, we come back up here to Plumley, and he has lost even more time, but he's just going to try and do his best to probably roll it in on this top 10 and then see where that takes him from there. And Togo Hisada. What about Dorado? Dorado goes way too deep into the corner. He's off into the runoff, and he's probably thankful for that paved runoff that has been added in modern times. That saved him, and he might actually still be within the slipstream, but now Trangrade is your new leader. Hisada up to second. Claridge gets shuffled down into third, maybe even fourth. Here comes Tixier going 3 wide.
Yeah, this might actually allow Dorado to catch back up, but they're going to be 2 and 3 wide through Curva Grande. I'm not sure that's going to work.
I've seen them make it work before, and around the outside. Look at that. Ove Trangrade doesn't even lose the lead. Tixier does manage to get into second place. Topi Cortinami now into third as Hisada gets pushed down to fourth. McClarridge from the lead down to P5 within a lap.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened to Mick. I'm not sure whether there was a lap car that sort of just checked him up a bit, or whether he just kind of really got mugged by everybody on that one lap. But that's how easy it is to, you know, lose the lead very, very quickly. Because we've got a slow car on the right.
Yeah, I think that was Dorado. So I wonder if Claridge, he's already under attack here. Maybe he made a mistake into Ascari. Oh, and we've if we come back live, we had another wreck in the front group. Hisada made contact with Granberg into Ascari. Granberg comes off the worst. There you see the number one getting the car rolling, but he gets popped into the air with a little wheel-to-wheel contact.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on with Hisada here. It looked like he was trying to serve a slowdown penalty or something along those lines, because he was very, very slow coming out of Lesmo 2.
Oh, no, it was Hisada who gets popped up into the air. Hopefully he doesn't have too much damage from that. And then Granberg gets spun around from the contact. Man, Togo got extremely lucky that car landed and was able to keep rolling.
Yeah, definitely got a pretty lucky landing with no damage either, it seems.
So back to Tixier in second, thinking about trying to pass on Korteniemi. Topi been our points leader for much of this season, and unfortunately has not been around much lately, and that's sucked up his drop weeks. So he's trying to get back to the front. Tixier seeing if he could steal the win finally. Trangrade back there third in line, and then Claridge in fourth. From there, it is a breakaway. I think it's Dorado, Hisada, Tyler behind them there, yeah. And they are trying to catch back up. So we now break once again. And wow, Mick Claridge sends it in deep. Is that too deep? Yes, it is. Claridge goes around and hits the wall in the process, keeps it out of the way, but is hurriedly trying to get the car going. We got another car off. Robert Anderson and Tixier. Topi Korteniemi. Unbelievable stuff here in the front pack. See if we can try and sort this out. Was the lapped car involved is my question.
Yeah, it definitely was on the exit of Ascari. It looked like Korteniemi just kind of rode over the back of him, and then Tixier couldn't avoid.
He tried to go off to the right-hand side. Watch Robert Anderson. He'll be up ahead. Yeah, you can see him in the dark car in front of them. And he was trying to do the right thing, but unfortunately, we always say it, and we'll reiterate it time and time again. You got to stay predictable as a lapped car, and his checkup caused another massive accident. Gonna give one more view from above here, the helicam. And there's Claridge. So, and the series of just one chicane, Claridge goes off. Tixier, I think, gets through it, but Korteniemi does not. Ooh, no, Tixier
definitely
did make
in that, but he got much luckier than Korteniemi did.
What this does is now that means Tixier leads, and he only has one friend with him. But it is not a car on the lead lap. It is Uldrich Fraunberg that is behind him. Ove Trangrade, I think, is the next one back. I'm trying to double check on that.
I don't think Tixier does lead. Tixier is 13.7 seconds behind in seventh.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. It is Trangrade. Dorado's second. Hisada is in third, and Bill Tyler is in fourth. Well, this has just been completely turned on its head. And what's even more wild is we're barely halfway through the race. So now Raphael going to try and work on Trangrade. Manages to get that one away. Togo Hisada stays in third. Bill Tyler giving watch back in P4. Claridge, despite his spin, is not too terribly far behind, but let's see, what's the gap that he's got? Looks like it is about 2.7 seconds. He's got some work to do.
Yeah, he's definitely got a pretty big mountain to climb, I would say. Obviously, these guys all drafting together. Claridge is back there with no draft help, but, you know, if he can just kind of get close enough, he might be able to actually go for the spin and win.
All right, down into the Ascari chicane. Will we get some Danny Sullivan scenes here? Another lapped car staying off to the side. Andre Bruno this time. Watching from Bill Tyler. Starting to lose a little touch there. That's Hisada up the road. It's about 0.6 of a second. Should be able to claw that back forward here on the pit straight. They've got the longest stretch of on throttle in the entire lap. As he tries his best to get the power down, you can see him just slightly sawing away at the wheel to try and keep it straight as he applies the power.
Yeah, and the best thing for Bill Tyler here is if the guys ahead start fighting as they have done down into Curva Grande, because that's going to pull him up even with a minimal effort, really.
So Raphael having to make a defensive move on Hisada there. Trangrade back up into the lead. And indeed, looks like Tyler does catch it back up by a couple tenths. So As long as he maybe doesn't fall about a second back, I think he can manage to stay in this pretty easily. Oh, and
Yeah.
Claridge just spun. This was heading into the first Lesmo. Let's watch. I'd love to see an onboard. See if we can get a feel for he clipped something here through De La Roja.
No, he just looks like he just dropped the car. He did say that he'd recalibrated his pedals pre-race and that he wasn't sure it was a good idea.
Yeah, I'm guessing just locked up the rears here, and unfortunately that meant that around she goes, because it didn't look like he touched the grass. Let's watch. The rear is wider than the front, so maybe he did. Hard to tell from that angle.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He's not. He's definitely not got the left rear out in the grass like we've seen in prior weeks with drivers having those kind of spins. But it's pretty difficult to make the 49 go around like that on the brakes.
Back to Dorado once again. He's going to take the lead away, or will he? Here comes Sada, and he wants to make it back-to-back wins, but he's not going to be able to get the lead away. He will overtake Ove Trangrade into Curva Grande, and that's going to make it Dorado, Hisada, Trangrade, your top three now.
Yeah, and it's funny because we were talking about these drivers who were in that sort of second sub-pack that had been separated from the lead as kind of almost finding it difficult to get back to the lead group, but the lead group was completely destroyed, and by being in the second pack, they were able to avoid that.
Indeed. Wow. This has been one of the most unpredictable races I've seen in the 49 in some time, that is for sure. And they come through the Ascari chicane. Very good run from Dorado through there. It actually pulls away a little bit from Hisada. It's a bit of a moot point, frankly, but something worth noting if it does come down to that last lap, because, well, he's going to have to hope for a snipe, most likely here on the front stretch, but that's not before the start-finish line on the final lap. That's going to have to be just as they take the white flag.
Yeah, and I think on balance, you would want to be leading into Parabolica. I would rather be on the defensive coming to the line than on the attack, because, you know, if you get an okay run through Parabolica, you'll probably be okay, whereas you have to get a great run if you're in second to have any chance of being able to pass on the way to the line.
Indeed. So opportunities will be there, but I don't know how sneaky you can try to be. Looks like Granberg is finally getting another spot, or trying to. He is caught up to Mick Claridge, both of them having had trouble in Ascari for completely different reasons. But now they're left to try and fight among scraps. Claridge in 5th, Granberg in 6th.
Yeah, a bit of a lonely race for these two now, but you know, at least there's one car to fight. And taking through a look at some other packs, we've got one built up actually for 12th, Colton Conover. He's got quite a few cars stacked up behind him right now.
That's a good point. Yeah, he's got, looks like Glenn Becker with him. Andrew Ang is in there. I see Christian Eschner. So 4 drivers vying for 12th position here. And a few of these are our F2 drivers. So let me check that championship again here. And no, none of them within the top 5, it looks like, unfortunately, but probably going to gain a number of positions. Conover especially. He sits actually 12th in the points even.
Yeah, with Nieva being out on that first lap, he's going to lose a lot of points.
Here we go, back to the front once again. Dorado under attack from Hisada into the inside, coming into the Curva Grande. He's been given space down at the apex. Might be the inside here. Well, it's going to be single file by the time they get to the De La Roja chicane here. Oof, and wow, that was tight with the lapped car. That was Tsuyoshi, who was trying to stay out of the way. Just another split second, they would have had to try and go around him at the apex.
Yeah, we've got a lot of drivers who are as lapped cars that they're trying to get out of the way, and for the most part they're doing a really good job of it. But in some cases they're ending up because they're going slowly to try and let leaders by, they're actually ending up in some pretty rough spots. Obviously, we saw at the exit of Ascari, the one that kind of wiped out the lead group. So it's very difficult. We did talk about how traffic was going to be difficult with so many cars in the race, but I think it's probably been actually more difficult than people were expecting.
Certainly seems like it. And this front group down towards Parabolica, trying to look and see. Interestingly, Hisada, our leader right now, has a fair bit of damage on the front. Those behind him look like they're pretty clean. I'm sure that's making life a little bit difficult for Togo. Whoa, and look at that big catch that we got from Trangrade there, trying to keep the car from turning around through Parabolica. And the slipstream for Dorado, even though a little weaving back and forth from Hisada tries to break it. Oh, and Raphael actually lifts.
He's going to sit behind, it seems. But you've told us a little bit about Hisada having damage. You've got to remember that he did like an almost full rallycross style jump in the Ascari chicane, and he's still leading the race.
That's kind of unbelievable. But yes, these are not cars usually you think of aerodynamic cars, but they do need to be nice and smooth for straight line speed. And it looks like Plumley has finally got some fun with him. And that is the car of Sebastian Tixier. Is Tixier overtaking, or has he just been caught? Looks like he's been run down here. And I think he just overtook Plumley back on that lap, because I'm seeing him scored last time by as 8th place, but he's now sitting in 7th, so that's been swapping back and forth just a little bit between them. Coming down to the end, though, and I think we're starting to see drivers actually try and position themselves now, because we've seen Dorado up at the front here give a little bit of a lift. Does he do the same this time? That's back row Bob in front of them, and the number 40. Now, Rob is very experienced here, allowing leaders by, so I got to imagine he'll have a little bit of an easier time trying to behave for them. He is being caught. He's not lifting here. Raphael, once again, is giving a big lift as we ride on board with him. Trangrade follows through, but it looks like they've started to drop Bill Tyler back and forth. This could become a 3-car race.
Yeah, it definitely looks like Tyler's been struggling to hold on to the back of this top 3, and I feel like it's still anyone in the top 3 can win, but it just looks like Tyler's now too far out of the lead group to really factor on that last lap, unless there's, you know, a huge battle through Lesmo 1 and 2 that has some side-by-side and pulls all these guys back towards him.
So the 2 right now is another lap car, tries to get away, and
Tyler
takes out Bill Tyler. Oh, and Hisada as well. Oh, I was just about to say Hisada's in a good position potentially to take the points lead, but before I could even get the words out, unfortunately, his fellow countrymen just picked the wrong way to get out of the way.
Yeah, and that's really what I've been talking about, where drivers are trying to get out of the way, and I can understand what they're going for, but by being so slow on a corner exit, you make it very difficult actually for the guys who are lapping you to know where you're going to be. And obviously Hisada.
We're going to watch this from Hisada's perspective. We're going to see it in real time here, how little chance he had to react.
Yeah, I mean, like, how do you know where the lap car's going to go there?
And then that's when the 8 also unfortunately catches him. That was Bill Tyler, who was an innocent victim. I thought maybe he was going to be able to inherit some good positions. Oh, and Rafael Dorado just made contact with Tony Schmidt. What in the world is happening? Ove Trangrade is now your leader. Where does this put Dorado? He's still in 2nd place, unbelievably. Well, no.
He's not going to be for long. Car
he's
going to be
very
parked
damaged.
after this. And again, you can see Dorado is not expecting the lapped car to be slowing down through here, because Dorado himself isn't slowing down in this situation.
He's had
and
to take
straight
it, though.
into the fence.
So Trangrade leads. Claridge is into 2nd place. Martin Granberg back up to 3rd.
Ooh! Claridge nearly out of the race himself.
Oh my goodness. So we're gonna watch Claridge here. Now what is going on? Did he...
Oh, the car comes back out of the wall! And then he's right on the racing line. He really should have hit him there.
Ooh, he did get lucky. I'm kind of worried the way the car was afterwards that maybe he got a little suspension damage. I'm trying to watch how it's handling now.
Yeah, I think he did get into that. Oh, we've had another wreck into Ascari. It's Glenn Becker. He was being passed and somebody's ramped over the back of him.
And Claridge, even if he didn't have damage, he's actually got a black flag for incident limits. So Claridge is down pit lane serving that penalty. And here we're going to see... Oh, excuse me, we are live right now. This is Granberg that we're on, who's up to second place somehow. So Ove Trangerade is your leader currently. Who is going to survive this race?
And Granberg is only 6/10 behind Trangerade. And he wasn't, though. So I'm not sure how that gap's been closed up. It's still a fight for the win. It's not going to be easy for Ove here on the last lap.
You talked about drivers who managed to use this to their advantage. Robert Plumley, 15th to 3rd place right now. 22nd to 4th for Emmanuel Pereira. Gary Ho, 23rd to 5th. Joe Halton, now 27th to 6th place.
Halton gone over 30th to 8th.
Andrew Engs managed 32nd to 9th, I'm seeing. Don Peaks managed to get himself up to 16th, trying to represent those Bengal colors. So hopefully he can hold that out for one more lap, because the white flag is coming out now for Ove Trangerade. And his gap down to Granberg is actually 0.4 of a second.
Oh,
so
Conover's out. There's been another incident at Ascari.
And it looks like he's able to get it going. The car looks like it is tracking correctly, but look at this for the lead. Granberg has caught up to Trangerade. I thought that Ove would be able to romp away with this one, but Martin has been given a second life here in this event and is trying his best to see if he can put that number one in P1.
Yeah, he's obviously got a great shot at it here. I think he'll probably try and move into Ascari.
I got to think the same thing. He's got to need a good exit, though. He gets a decent one. I don't think this is going to be enough. He's going to feel the slipstream. Trangerade is going to cover him off, I got to imagine. Doesn't immediately move to the left-hand side. A little bit of a run from Granberg, but does not try to outbrake him into the corner. Stays in tow. One last one into the Parabolica. Still pretty heavy braking, but he clips the inside curb way too much. And that paid to his hopes for now. Trangerade only needs a clean run out of the final corner. So the Norwegian is the one that survives today, as he has gone from the front row to potentially the victory. It is indeed a win for Ove Trangerade here at Monza. That was something. I don't know how to describe that race. Robert Plumley from 15th to 3rd. I wonder if that's the best finish we've ever seen on the broadcast races for Plumley. But the 14 has got to be absolutely chuffed. And got a little battle for 4th here. Pereira and Gary Ho. Looks like Pereira will win out on that one. How many do we even have finishing on the lead lap? It looks to me like 18. Of our 45. So Claridge, in the end, is going to finish 8th out there. That's actually better than I expected, considering his multiple wrecks and a black flag.
I'm surprised he was able to come back from that, actually.
I am too. Grissinger in a little bit of a fight, but he's going to come out the victor to take 12th over Snelson in 13th. Ooh, very close there between Quellen and Prela. Don Peak going to be the last one on the lead lap, which means we are going to head to a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Monza. Usually we're used to chaotic races here, but that's on the combined circuit. Today, the GP course gave us one of the weirdest races we've seen in quite some time, and it was Ove Trangrade who was the victor by half a second over Martin Granberg, who at one point was completely spun around in the Ascari chicane and still managed P2 and nearly taking the victory. Robert Plumley from 15th to a podium, and still wasn't the best climb through the field out there today. We'll have some doozies for you. Emmanuel Pereira, 22nd to 4th. Gary Ho, 23rd to 5th. Sebastian Tixier, probably the only car out there that finished in the same position he started in 6th. Joe Halton, P7 from 27th on the grid, and McClarridge fell down from 4th to 8th. Colton Conover, 30th to 9th, but Jack David Spickett in the top 10 from 39th on the grid.
And just outside the top 10, a little bit of a less impressive climb, but a climb nonetheless. Kristen Eshter went from 24th to 11th. Michael Grissinger, we saw him having some pretty good battles today. He's 28th to 12th. Bruce Nelson, driver who went a little bit backwards. He's in 13th after starting in 11th, with Andrew Eng, another impressive climber, 32nd to 14th. David Presley, 19th to 15th. Gary Quaylen, he was 12th to 16th, so unfortunately a little bit the other way. Eugenio Massa, no qualifying time, 40th to 17th. Then Don Peak, last driver on the lead lap, he was in 18th after starting 34th. Ben Summers, one lap down, in 19th after starting 38th. Rafael Dorado, we saw him fight for the lead, but unfortunately get involved in that incident. He's 2 laps down in 20th.
From there, it was a lot of drivers that either DNF'd or had to go get repairs and tried their best to get back out there and see what they could salvage out of today's race. And there were certainly plenty of them figuring might as well, because there were 45 cars total, as you can see. So there was chances to try and salvage something. But a man who did salvage it quite well was Martin Granberg, and I don't think we expected that. Martin, congratulations on a second. I have to admit, after your incident with Togo Hisada down into the Ascari chicane, we were not expecting you to be on the podium. Let's see if we can get Martin's mic working. It looks like he might be muted here, so we'll get some buttons pushed. There we go. Now we got Martin with him. Martin, congratulations on a podium. I don't think we expected you to get back up to that. We might not have Martin yet here. Let's see if Martin, do you have a copy? Appears we do not, so might not get to talk to Martin Granberg for now. And in the meantime, Christian has caught up with Mick Claridge, who also had a little bit of a recovery, still somehow managing 8th today.
Mick, that looked just absolutely crazy from our perspective. I mean, there were so many incidents. Which one would you like to talk about?
Oh my God, I can't believe that race. That was just nuts. We've had some races like that in the past, every now and again, but I think that one was the worst, apart from Joe's famous video of that one.
Yeah, it was definitely. Well, there was some interesting incidents. I think is fair to say, and we saw yourself actually have. I've got a question for you. So when you went down into Lesmo 1. And the car looped around on you, we were having a bit of a debate. Did you clip the grass, or was that just looping it around yourself on the brakes?
None of you got it right. I went down a second gear corner. I went down there hard as anything, trying to catch leaders, wasn't I? And my fingernail hit the paddle. I went into first gear. It just threw me around.
Well, that definitely makes sense. And yes, apparently neither of us were correct on that one. But You said you were saying pre-race that you've recalibrated your pedals. That seems dangerous.
I had issues with the brake pedal yesterday. It just kept spiking all the time. It was at the most annoying moments. Like I'd be coming out of the Parabolica in qualifying on lap 2, and I'd be like further the brake would be on, and oh God. So I just thought, oh right, I'm fixing it. Run out of time today. So in the end, after a long mess around with them, it turned out that my throttle pedal had like full throttle at half movement of the pedal, so it took a long time to work that out. But yeah, I was fine after a while. I could get it right, and I was doing all right. I mean, my pace was all right. So yeah, but I don't know if you guys saw that. I don't know who I hit in the second chicane. Did you guys see that?
I believe that we did, but honestly, there was so many incidents that happened, I can't remember who was actually involved with it.
Yeah.
I remember seeing yourself spun around a couple of times.
Yeah, I was coming through the second chicane, and I think it might have been Raf, I think, after his spin, or if he had a spin or whatever.
Yes, it was. Yeah. So what had happened there is that Raf had an incident on the apex curb with a lapped car, and he was trying to rejoin the track, and I don't think he realized that you were kind of coming up behind. So. Yeah,
right. God. It's really dark there as well at that time. It just reminded me of that bit in Return of the Jedi when they were on them speeder bikes going through the forest, trying to get
Yeah. I mean, we saw him just rejoin, and it obviously looked very, very tight, and we weren't sure if you'd picked up damage, but you definitely looked like you had some.
Yeah, back suspension. The back. How weak the car is on the back of this, on the back wheels there. So yeah, just a bit bent, and I was a bit worried about putting my foot down from then until the end of the race, but I could sort of get some sort of laps put together. I'm glad I carried on anyway, even after the drive-through. So yeah, but good fun. Yeah, it's always a good laugh at Monza.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw a couple of drivers that we thought were out of the race who were then able to come back to really good finishes. Obviously, Granberg was spun around. He finished in P2, so definitely a good decision to keep going. Now, next week is Pocono. It's like almost the same as Monza, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
It's going to be probably just as crazy.
Yeah, it will be just as crazy. We won't have any cautions on. We're nuts, and it's just an insane track. It's 3 different corners. It's sort of like a Curva Grand 180R at Suzuka, and gives its own corner at turn 1, I suppose, don't it? But yeah, it's going to be brilliant. I can't wait for that. Really looking forward to it. I'm hoping that the guys who are saying they're not going to show, like Timu and maybe some other guys who I can't remember, maybe Martin has said he don't like it. I want them to show up because they will like it. So Timu, you got to turn up.
I would definitely agree. I mean, I
Yeah,
raced it.
I wouldn't be surprised to see you there, mate. Commentary and driving at the same time.
I'm not sure I'm able to do that. I do remember that we had a great fight last time I raced there, though. So maybe. But I think I'll probably stay in the booth for that one. Right. Before we let you go, anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to?
You guys have put on a great broadcast again. We're always going to watch it back in a minute, and I don't know. There's some guys watching. There's too many, in fact, at the moment for me to name. So yeah, hello to all of those, and well done.
Well, thank you for coming and chatting with us. Obviously, not quite the result you were wanting, but still a top 10, so not too bad, all things considered.
Cheers, mate.
Well, that will take us to Topi Kortiniemi, who finished 30th today. Unfortunately, one of our DNFs. But Topi, at first you were part of that front group, and we can see here in the replay on screen still running on the track, but you were among the many that caught up. Is there going to be some discussions with some of the back markers about how to let lead cars by? Because it seemed like it was a big hang-up today.
Yeah, we had a friendly chat afterwards. He was first-time racer, so just some general guidance how to let cars by, and just for anyone else who is going to the series is so anything like that won't happen. Is that don't slow on the racing line, don't slow on the exit. Because a fast guy won't drive over you, but if you do something unexpected, he can't. He can't expect that. So, yeah, wait for a safe place. That's what the leaders are doing when lapping cars. So you don't have to be like over eager to let the leaders pass. They wait. They're patient in this series.
Indeed, it seems like you guys usually are, but. Unfortunately, you had already slipped down to 5th in the points coming into this race, and this is not going to help your points total all that much. What do you do from here? You've missed a few. Are you going to, unfortunately, not be around for a couple more, or are you good to the end?
Probably miss the next one too, but today it was a fun race so far. I didn't expect to make so many passes from back of the lead back, but they just opened the door and I went for it. I had great fun until that. That was good racing.
I'm sorry the fun didn't get to continue all the way to the checkered flag. Anybody you want to give a shout out before you head off?
Yeah, the Raccoon Boys. I'm racing to finish a national championship this year. And you guys, of course.
All right. Well, thank you for coming and talking to us. That was Topi Kortiniemi, who finished 30th today after starting from 8th. And that's going to wrap us up. So, again, I want to give a thank you to our sponsor, the Majors Garage. Make sure and check them out at majorsgarage.com and use our special discount code MajorsGSRC for 10% off. There's a link that'll take you right there to them. And also, a thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out our Bandcamp for more great work. Thanks to the team today, Christian, Rob, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Check out our merchandise store. It's gsrc.storeenvy.com. There's a link in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel while you're down there so you don't miss a moment. As we mentioned, if you do like a bit of a wild style of racing with a lot of slipstreaming, Pocono is coming up next week, Saturday, February 12th, 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. And we've got more craziness coming up. The Camel GT series will be at Okayama at noon Eastern. So until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.